Totally different concept, totally different chapter. Now we're going to be talking about increment and decrement operators. Right. Guys, this is what C++ is named for. All right. Look down here. I've got this thing down on line 12, num++. All right. That's just an increment operator. C++ is actually named for this. All right. Pretty easy concept. It's something you'll be using in almost all your programs going forward, especially ones dealing with bigger numbers. I declare an integer num. Num equals 5. All right, I assign it the number 5. All right, program I've got here is going to see out num equals num 5 and just print that out. After it prints it out, it goes down to this next line, num++. All that does is increment 5 to 6. All right, next line, see out the num incremented equals, it'll see out 6. Next line, num++. It increments it again. It'll go to 7. Num incremented a second time equals 7. Then we increment again, right? Num goes from 7 to 8, and then it prints out. Num incremented a third time equals 8. Just like you have increments, you have decrements, right? Now I'm going to go backwards, right? I'm going to go num minus minus, which decrements 8 to 7. Then I'm going to print it out, right? I decrement again. I print it out here. So let's run this, right? All we're doing is watching this increment operator and this decrement operator work. So you can see num equals 5, num incremented equals 6, num incremented a second time equals 7, num incremented a third time equals 8, num decremented equals 7, num decremented equals 6. Pretty easy concept. This was a big thing when this happened. I think this happened back in the 80s. The way this program used to, if you were programming in C, which was the predecessor for C++, the way that this would be written would be like this. Num equals num plus 1. All right. A lot of people, a lot of programmers, especially the older programmers, still would write it like this. A lot less code. Actually, it's more intuitive just to go num++. You know that increments it. Sometimes this can be confusing, but this is pretty common in other languages too, to write it like this. So anywhere I've got an increment, which I can go down here, watch, I'm going to go down to this one right here. And for the decrement, I'm going to go here and put num equals num minus 1, right? So I'm going to run this program. It should run identical to the way it did the first time, even though I'm not using the increment and decrement operators. I'm using the old style here also, the old-timey style of notation. So you can see it runs identical. 5, 6, 7, 8. Then I start decrementing 7, 6. So while I probably encourage you all to use the plus plus and the minus minus for decrements, you all need to know, and I will probably write it into programs, you need to know that this is also just an old style, but this is increment and this is decrement here.